why I love writing and what it means to me as a nearly blind person with a progressive illness. So my story with writing is both happy and sad actually. It started when I was a little kid and I used to go to the library and read a lot. Back then I still could. And I wrote in my little notebooks and talked about it with my friends. One of my first friends, back when I was 6 years old, also loved writing a lot. She made her own story about a monster. She even drew it once. Really, really cool. I'm sad to this day that she never showed me the finished story, but it was so awesome. Every time I walked to her, I saw this monster on her door and I was like, oh my gosh, I have the most amazing friend ever. She is writing. How cool is that? I was so amazed with her and so in awe of her. It was just crazy. Yeah, and I wanted to do that too. I wanted to write. I wanted to create worlds. I wanted to, to an extent, flee reality. I will admit that, honestly, because when you have a disability, especially one that limits your movements in any way, and not being able to see very well means restrictions, a lot of restrictions actually. And I wanted my own world where I could be free and my characters could be free. Or maybe they are not, but that's part of the fun, discover the world together, find limitations, overcome them, all the fun, And so I wrote and I wrote and I wrote so much back when I was a little child. And when I got older, I started writing in other languages because, oh my gosh, I know other languages now. I gotta use it, right? And then I started drawing, and I was never an amazing artist in that regard, I will admit. My sister was once so kind as to label it an artistic style that is slightly childish, with which she meant it looked like a 5-year-old drew it. But I was a very passionate 5-year-old. Even when I was an adult, I drew with passion. And then I couldn't anymore because my vision got worse. And for a time that made me very, very sad because when I grew up, when I was a teenager, I started writing fan fiction and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so cool now, I have my own stories, and I made pictures for it so it had cool covers, and then I couldn't anymore at some point, right? So that made me sad. And then I had a year where I was thinking, how can I do it again? Because I really, really want to. And imagining how I see is kind of like this, right? So you have a paper here, and this paper showed 3/4. And my vision got worse and worse over time due to multiple factors. It has been called unlucky by others. Some things were doctor mistakes, some things were just, well, they happened. They were all preventable, or most of them. A kind of sad thing. Anyway, so I could see less and less, and it's at first like you have this paper and there's 1/4 missing, right? So you have to think of what this quarter of the paper means, right? So figure it out by context, and I could do that. It worked until there was only 1/4 left, and I was like, I can do it. But it's a lot of brain work, and I actually get a headache after a while because having to figure out the context with only seeing literally 1/4 of the actual text was really, really hard. And I couldn't proofread my stories anymore. I was like, oh no, what am I supposed to do now? I can't spell check it, and oh no, I cannot read the Braille, because due to circumstances I only know a few letters in Braille. And I was like, okay, what now? And I was like, okay, I'm not giving up. And then I figured out, oh, right, there is something like AI. So I used AI not to proofread my text for me, because I tried and that does not really work, not really. It makes sometimes more mistakes than there were before, and it kept insisting to use US English when I was clearly writing in British English. And it frustrated me so much. And then it invented characters. I was like, what are you doing, AI? You are destroying my story. Why? And I continued trying. And then I came to the solution for myself that, oh, I can just copy my text there and tell it to just read it to me. I have to insist a lot to just read it, don't correct it. For heaven's sake, please, please, please don't correct it. Just read it to me, and I can listen to it, and then I can hear my mistakes, because that actually works. Not perfectly, I have to listen to it multiple times, but it actually allows me to hear when I pace it too slowly, when there are spelling mistakes, obvious ones anyway, when the content has some kind of issue. You can hear all that kind of stuff. Even readability works that way, which is awesome. And I was like, yeah, I can continue writing. That's so cool. And I was like, but what about the image? I cannot make cover images anymore. I cannot draw. And I realized, oh, AI images. And back then I was actually in the hospital, and it was hilarious because the doctors were preparing me for the surgery, or making the pre-tests and stuff. And in between you have time in the hospital bed and doing nothing. And they were like, when the nurses got me, what are you doing there? I was like, yeah, I'm doing AI images now. And they were like, but you don't see anything right now. And I was like, yeah, it just uses text, And I researched it a lot. So I searched which colors fit with which colors mean what, which texture reflects light in what way, and so a lot of research, right? And it was ridiculous because I took like one day to make one image, but I was determined. So I actually made one image, one AI created image, or AI assisted image for each of my stories, and I felt on top of the world because, yeah, I've got art now, cover art, take that world. I felt so cool. And so I got back into writing, and I realized I felt so free again because I can write, and I even have half a book finished now. I'm determined to finish it one day. I did ridiculous much research for that too. A friend told me a few weeks ago when they asked me what it was about, so it's a self-insert, right? I was like, oh, no, it's not a self-insert. I created magical creatures and a solar system. And do you know how much time it took me to realize how fast the moons need to move so they don't collide? That took me weeks. I needed an orange, a kiwi, and I think it was a tomato, and my dad's endless patience, and I think like 3 different books which he used as source material. And all day long I couldn't obviously see the book, right? But it was like it helped him focus and maybe help his frustration stay within sane boundaries. And so he taught me the basics of how I could make moons with different materials without the whole world going boom. I felt so awesome, right? And that's what I love about writing. You can create your own worlds, your own moons. They can be of any material you want. I made an own time system, and each of my characters had a back time story, and I just used my disability, not in the direct way, but to understand my characters better. And that's what I love about it too, because I can use my disability to my advantage. One of the few times I actually can do that, right? So it's not like I'm disabled and this is harder, because of course, yeah, it is. I need to listen to my mistakes. You gotta pay a lot of attention for that. And to be honest, listening is not my preferred learning method, which made it really difficult. But if you're determined enough, it works. And I understand things others don't, because sometimes when you don't see, you see more. Weird how life works like that, right? And it just feels very awesome, right? So that's why I love writing, because I'm free and I can use my disability to an advantage, and I can actually create something that is, at least for myself, very, very awesome.